What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, and today we're going to do a review of Vagabond. This is the 3-in-1 manga that collects the first 3 volumes. It was recommended to me years ago when I first started Berserk, and I bought this. I never got around to reading it. Somebody mentioned it recently, I think in one of our live streams, so I picked this up last night just to flip through it and knocked out the first 2 volumes, the first 20 chapters of this 31-chapter book. So we're going to do a deep dive, thorough review. I'm going to do overhead shots, talk about the characters, the story, look at the artwork, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on this book. Before we jump into it, man, we have a huge, busy week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 2nd, I'm going live for Whatnot Wednesday, like I always do, at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I have Sealed Omnibus. I have a lot of great single issues, key issues, Silver Age issues. And then on Friday, on this channel, I'm going to be doing a live comic book auction and claim sale with Nick Barucci of Dynamite Entertainment. I'll be hosting, and they're bringing a ton of great stuff. And then this Sunday, back over on Whatnot, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm doing a special dual stream with my man Davis Collects. We're doing a limited edition t-shirt drop. We're giving away a Sideshow brand new sealed Wolverine premium format, and we're going to be auctioning off X-Men and Wolverine key issues to go with the whole theme. This is going to be crazy. You can bookmark both sales now on Whatnot, and hope to see you guys there. All right, guys, here we go. Vagabond. So this is the first volume from their 3-in-1. So kind of like the Berserk Deluxe edition. This has 3 volumes here. The first 3 retails $20. And it's kind of got like a dust jacket built in. That's kind of interesting, with some nice artwork here. And that's what this book really has. It has great artwork, highly detailed. Here are all the chapters. There are 31 chapters in this first 3-in-1. And some of the first couple of pages from each volume are in color, which is awesome, right? But then it does go into black and white. So Shinmen Takezo, that is the name of our main character, or at least it's his name for now, because that's kind of like his childhood name. And in this warrior world, when you grow up, you get an adult name. So basically what we have here is 2 friends that grew up with each other that left home. It's Takezo and Matachi. So they both left and they wanted to make a name for themselves. So they wake up in this war. They're surprised that they survived. And this is where we're introduced to the 2 friends. Now, our main character throughout this story so far, they've been alluding to his like beast-like tendencies and the fact that there's something with his eyes. And he's this Ronin warrior, but he's not cleanly. He lacks cleanliness. He's not unkempt. He's very dirty, and they call him like a hick and things like that throughout here. But you have some fighting scenes here. These guys want to be warriors, especially our main character. He wants to be, I forget the saying he used, the most powerful thing in the universe, or he wants to become invincible. So we're seeing them fight soldiers for the very first time. Luckily, our main character is kind of naturally talented. He hasn't mastered anything. He hasn't studied at a school, but he's got a lot of heart, and he's a good fighter, even though he'll fight with brutal methods. Like he'll use his hands, or throughout this series, he doesn't even use a sword. He uses a piece of wood or a wooden training sword that he'll like bludgeon his enemies with. So right away, we have some gory graphics, some blood splattering, some boulders smashing skulls. So you get some action right away, and it's pretty brutal. So here we go again. Shinmen Takezo, or Takezo. Basically, he's called Takezo, and then Honedin Matachi is his friend. So basically, they're just kind of trying to scream out their names to, I don't know, give themselves the strength to move on and move forward. So after the fight with the bandit, they pass out. They get found by this woman here, and that's where the story kind of begins, right? So let's jump into that. On these women that our main characters have encountered. So Takezo's friend, he actually has a fiance back home, so she's waiting for him, but they end up with these thieves, and the character falls in love with them. What is his name? Matachi? I can't remember it. So he ends up rolling with them, leaving Takezo behind. Oko is the girl that he falls in love with. And this is where they're telling them that we're thieves. You found us in this battlefield of corpses because we strip the corpses and that's how we make our living. Here we just have Takezo showing how he's handy with these pieces of wood. Artwork is amazing. He kind of reminds me of like a Tekken character a little bit. So here's where we start to see it. So I believe it's Oko who's watching Takezo as he's sleeping, and she tells him that he's got the eye of the beast. She wants to get with him, but he's not really into it. And it leads up to something that we'll get into shortly here. All right, so basically we have the Sujikaze gang that shows up, and a familiar face here, the leader of the gang. The women thieves are terrified of the guy. And this was a great scene too, man. So he goes to run up on Oko, not knowing that they're hiding behind the wall. And I'm thinking that they're going to get the best of him, but kind of like Matrix style, the dude busts through the door here. He can feel the presence of somebody behind the door. So this is a pretty cool battle, and it's really long-lasting effects, at least for the 3-in-1 here, which we'll get to in just a moment of what happens. Basically, Takezo fights back. So the fight goes outside. Takezo ends up chasing the guy. He's running like a coward. And what Takezo kind of realizes throughout this, these 3 volumes so far is that he is stronger than most people, and he can best most fighters. Look how he bludgeons this guy like crazy. And then boom, I like how his ponytail kind of comes undone. Takezo's a badass character, man, for real. So here's the thing with Oko. I guess she's kind of like a whore, works at a pleasure, what do they call it again? We'll see it later. A pleasure inn or something like that. Matachi wants her. Is that how you say his name? He wants her. He runs up on her while she's sleeping, and it's dark, and he tells her that he's Takezo, which was, he kind of did her dirty there with that, right? And then he's even like, what am I doing? Why did I say I was Takezo? But I think she knew the whole time. Because, yeah, she says to him here, I thought you had a fiance when they're done. So she knows that it's him. But what ends up happening is he just falls in love with her and kind of runs off with the thief girls. So this is where Takezo says he's a vagabond. So a vagabond is like a wanderer. It's basically like another way to define a Ronin. You're just this masterless samurai that's just wandering around, trying to be the best swordsman that you can be. Here's some nice color pages here, starting chapter 7. So the gang, they find out that Takezo killed their leader, so they all go to jump him. Now this is pivotal because his friend doesn't help him. He's running around for a sword. He finds that like he can't really move. He's scared, and then Oko runs out. And then he just has sex with Oko out here in the forest while Takezo is fighting the rest of the gang. So here's where we're talking about the artwork in this manga. Excellent artwork here. The black and white style just lends so well to what's going on here. Slicing this guy's head off. Matachi is still here with Oko. Takezo's trying to call out to him. So they kind of think that, for whatever reason, they think that each other has been killed. Matachi thinks there's no way that he could have survived that, and I'm such a coward for not helping him. I just hid here with Oko and got my rocks off really quick. Which leads Takezo to do his vagabond thing and wander. He ends up going to the Miyamoto village, which is his home. So this is Matachi's mother, which they call Granny. Her and his fiance are just waiting for them to come back. Now she gets word that Takezo is back, so she's thinking, okay, they run together. That means my son is back too. Come to find out that he's not, and that he's supposedly dead, which Granny doesn't like whatsoever. Now, Takezo can't really come back to the village. The way that he left, I mean, he's wanted for something. He runs into Otsu, which is Matachi's fiance. She's scared to death. But he can't be captured. So he's trying to sneak around in the bushes here in his hometown. He's out here in the forest. Fiance is the name of chapter 9, which is referring to Otsu. I forget what it was exactly why he can't show his face in the hometown. He did something bad. I mean, we come to find out that he's a killer. He's killed people. Like, I think his first kill was when he was 17, when he finally confronts Granny to try to just explain what happened. She doesn't really take it too well. It's pretty sad about Otsu because we learn that she's an orphan and that she was abandoned as a child. So when she finds out about Matachi's, it's kind of heartbreaking, man. Granny's holding on to the fact that her son's still alive, even though It seems obvious that he's dead, but she is right. He's alive. So what happens is that Oku sends a letter back home telling Otsu, I took your man, basically. So this is kind of like a rough thing. So she's reading this letter. She's like, who the hell is Oko? Right? Who's Oko? And then she's crying. The art's great here. There's actually a great panel coming up here that I posted on Twitter and on Instagram that really show the artwork and the emotion. So Granny sets up, is it Takezo? I already forget, man. Sets him up to get captured. She's got him in her house taking a bath, thinking everything's all good, feeding him. He busts out butt naked to fight these guards. She even goes as far as to ring the bell in the middle of the night throughout the village. Matachi, you bastard. Basically, the guards are no match for Takezo whatsoever. He ends up beating them all. I think he ends up killing some, and then he just gets away again. But then you have this monk who runs into him face to face, and the monk has ended up tasked to capturing him, and he does so in a smart way, man. He doesn't go about it the same way that the guards go about it. This is the monk, Taquan. Taquan actually lets him get away at first, and Takezo says he doesn't want his help. So then he yells back out to the guards, hey, here he is. Takezo's over here. And I guess they come back or whatever, but he doesn't get captured just yet, I don't believe. The monk with Otsu kind of comforting her because he's going to use her to capture Takezo. So he's going to go about it in a different way. He's not going to go about it from like a violence way. He's going to go at it from like an emotional way. Meanwhile, there's somebody out here in the woods that's hunting down Takezo as well. This guy right here. Sujikaze Koi. Yeah, he's after him as well. So again, the main character has like Griffith type ambitions. Like he really wants to be invincible under the sun, I think is the term. And he's willing to do anything to it. He has no regard for his own life. He'll fight anyone. Very careless. Like a beast. He fights like an animal. He kind of feels like life is meaningless. Like he just said, I was born into this world 17 years for what? I like how they started doing all this insect stuff at the end of the last volume and on this volume. That was pretty slick. Nice big double page spread here. Yeah, so the monk speaking to, who is this guy? Is he the head of the village or something like that? And just tells him that he's incompetent. The monk basically showing that he's very confident. He's definitely a powerful, strong fighter, and he doesn't hold his tongue whatsoever. But yeah, they task him with capturing Takezo, and this is where he tells Otsu that she's going to be the key to doing that. Just laughing and toying with this guy. Yeah, so here's where he says his plan. She's going to be the one who captures Takezo. Yeah, that's right. So that's how Takezo gets caught, because the monk and Otsu are outside. They're looking for him. They're setting up camp and they're eating. Takezo is actually nearby, and the monk even senses it when he's nearby and invites him to sit down, which we'll get to in just a moment. Now we're just in a flashback of Takezo and Matachi's childhood. And then here's where he notices that Takezo is really just by them. Great artwork right here too, man. So inviting him to come join, which really is what gets him captured, but not really in the way that you think. So he can barely even make them out. He is tired, exhausted. He's just seeing a blur. He's got all this fighting in his mind that's been going on, and it's almost like this is the first glimpse of like the beast-like nature that we're hearing about. So what I like about Otsu, when she first speaks to Takezo, she just breaks out crying, who's Oko? Man, that kind of hit hard too, with the tears coming down. Who's my fiance with right now? And then she grabs him and hugs him. She's been abandoned again. That hit hard as well. Like, dang. He ends up passing out in her arms, and that's how he gets captured, and that's how the monk completes his task. So they take him back to the village as promised, and he's hanging up from a tree for like days, man. Like literally, he's up there for days. He's not eating, and they're really leaving him there to die. But you kind of get the vibe that it's a test from the monk here. But it's pretty brutal. Granny's down there just loving every second of it. Otsu does try to come feed him a couple times, unsuccessful every time. Let's see if we get to that part. Here's just more flashback stuff. Wanting to become a warrior. He's in the tree of shame. Here she is with a rice ball, trying to get it to him. but it just never works out. She ends up hitting him in the head, and then she has to leave before she gets caught. So that was really no help. But what was cool about this trial was kind of more of like, hey, when you're ready to come down, I'll let you down kind of thing. But Takezo being stubborn and just saying, hey, just kill me. Just kill me. Get it over with. You got me. I'm captured. That's it. But the monk wants him to care about his life. He wants him to want to escape. So it's kind of just like a trial, like I said. Here she is, Otsu, with another rice ball. This time he catches it in the eye. And she's like, hey, we'll get it right tomorrow night. It's like, I haven't eaten in days, man. The crows are coming. So you know that's when they know he's dying. So basically the monk trying to like, just let him atone for his sins. Like, you've killed people. You've taken their lives. They'll never amount to anything now because of you. And he wants him to care about their lives as well as his own. I believe this is Takezo's flashback with his father and how he was taken from his mother as a child and he was trained by his father, but he kind of had a rough upbringing. I guess flashing back to that is going to help him realize that his life should matter. Now here goes that mercenary guy who was fighting him earlier, messing with him while he's on the tree now. So he actually cuts him down. But when he gets down there, now he actually does something in his mind. I think the monk attacks the mercenary in his mind, and that's what this vision is. So the monk's got some extraordinary powers for sure. See, who the hell was that? A monk. He defeated me. He cut me down with his mind. So now that he's cut down, the mercenary runs away, and Taquan doesn't put him back up in the tree. He does tell Granny and everyone else that he's dead and that we burn the body. Which Granny doesn't believe. You think me blind? They do take him off, though, to let him die somewhere, but we got to get to it. I forget what happens here. Yeah, I guess it's just kind of the monk playing reverse psychology with him. What? You wanted to die so bad. Here we are. Here's your place to die. And he actually starts bashing his own head against the rock to kill himself, which is where the monk steps in like, come on, bro. Will you throw your life away, Takezo? See, he doesn't want that for him. Will you throw everything away? Even the person that you used to be, right? It's almost like a baptism. It makes him cry a little bit. Just, he really wasn't after him the whole time, the monk. And that was the end of volume 2. So this jumps into the third and final volume of this 3-in-1. And this is where they say that Shinmin Takezo died here today. So he died and he sheds that name. And he takes on the name Miyamoto, which is the name of his town. Miyamoto Musashi. So that's who he is moving forward, at least now in this volume. So he's 21 years old now. He's been reborn as Miyamoto Musashi. So he ends up, time has gone by. He ends up wandering into this town, and it ends up being the town where his childhood friend and those women thieves have settled. And like I said, she works at a whorehouse. He sees these people playing in the street. This is actually a guy. He's the head of the school that he's going to go challenge. He looks like a female, Griffith vibes. He tells him that the people from the school will kill him. They're just playing around in the street. But he does get the best of him with the blade to his throat. He didn't even realize it was so fast. So he's one of those Vega Street Fighter pretty boy violent killer types, but has no interest in the school, as we learn in this volume, and really just wants to hang around the whorehouse all day. Basically, Takezo walking around like, all these people look soft as hell. I'm about to wreck this town. I'm about to challenge the whole Yoshioka Sejuro. I don't know if I said that right, but he's basically challenging the school, and that's where we have Goku vibes. He just wants to be the best. He wants to fight and train and challenge people, and that's essentially the whole third volume, which is a good volume. See, he's out here to seek a challenge, challenging people to a duel. He doesn't really want to fight the scrubs. He tries to fight who he thinks is somebody that's a little bit more skilled. And then here is the head of that school again, laying up with Oko. That's who Musashi is with now, and he has no choice. He doesn't like that she works there. It's implied that she has sex with these men, but they kind of say within the story that Toji doesn't really go there for that. He just goes there to talk and lay with her, which is kind of weird. But that's where he spends all his time. He's pissed. How dare you make a fool of your husband? Quit this damn job. But she tells him, you don't make any money. And he's like, well, if I go do this job, I'm not going to make as much money. And you're so high maintenance and this and that. So he's basically just pissed. He made the wrong decision. He wants to go back home, but he feels like he ruined everything at home already. He feels like his best friend is dead. Musashi, he's kind of a coward at the same time. He ends up going by the school and hearing all the fighting that's going on inside it. He doesn't realize it's Takezo, his childhood friend. So he's easily wiping the floor with all the scrubs. The kind of little higher up guys from the school are starting to take notice. They attack him. He moves and doesn't flinch. Takezo actually kills one of the students as he's fighting. He actually ends up killing 5 of them, which is kind of what starts bringing the attention of some of the higher ups here in the school. For instance, right here, the younger brother to the head of the school, which is really the more serious, seemingly more stronger and deadly of the brothers. But he's not in charge because he's younger. So he gives Musashi a good smack out front. Then he goes inside to see what all the commotion is. And this is where Takezo's like I said, starting to realize I'm strong enough to take on the Yoshioka school. Like, I could do this. Then we get some more color pages here. So it's not always just in the beginning of the volume. So maybe just the beginning of some chapters as well. So Takezo's starting to fight that one kind of, he looked like he was a higher up from the school, giving him a run for his money to become invincible under the sun. That's his whole mantra. So you know how Griffith was like, I will have my own kingdom? This is his whole thing, to become invincible under the sun. That's when little brother overhears it and he, calls him out. Someone has the nerve to barge into our school and talk about being invincible. So this is where we get kind of the showdown between the master. This is interesting. There's a power struggle here. He calls himself the master of the school when his brother's not there. His name is Deneshi Siro. Yeah, Deneshi Siro. So everyone's kind of a little shocked because he's not the master of the school, but he does say that. But little bro shows up. Look, yawning, not caring. I'm back. He doesn't take it serious. Since when does the school have 2 masters? So he kind of checks his younger brother. And he's not only like, he's the heir to the school, but you get the vibes that he's very strong as well. He just doesn't really care. You're the head of this school? That's funny. So he really doesn't care at all. There's a small showdown here. Still, Musashi outside, doesn't even know it's Takezo inside still, kind of showing that he's a coward. I like how he offers Takezo sake to go home, and boom, he just bashes it while it's in his hand. That was pretty cool, man. Pretty badass. Everyone in the school is shocked, of course. Look, I will make a name for myself. So Musashi outside, he tries to gas himself up, but still, both have those kind of Griffith vibes and ambition, saying he lost his head when he didn't help out Takezo in the battle, instead just went with Oko out in the woods. So then here we have the battle. So Takezo about to face off with little bro, but big bro comes in with a quick slice, cuts his board in half, or his training sword, and then also gashes him across the forehead. So this is a pretty cool instinct. He's got the blood dripping down. He doesn't care. He's so nonchalant. But Takezo wants more. He still wants to fight. Even though you hit me with a blow, let's trade blows. Let's actually go one-on-one. But he wants to go back to the pleasure quarters. That's the name I couldn't think of. Farewell. He's out of here. He doesn't care. He's just going back to the whorehouse. He's gone. So Takezo wants to follow him, to fight him. But that's when he gets into it with the little brother. Which way to the pleasure quarters, see? I want to exchange blows with him. My man's right there. So that's the older brother, Yoshiko Seijuro, right? And here we have this last battle. Basically, the younger brother, Denshiro, doesn't want to let him go because he did kill 5 of those people, right? So he feels like it's up to him to kill him to avenge the students from that school. This is a pivotal moment that we don't really realize right away, right? So they kind of trade blows. He whacks him hard as hell in the shoulder, right? So keep that in mind. At this point, he's dealing with broken wooden swords, fighting this samurai. Looks like he gets a little slash across the chest there. He asks him what makes him so confident. You arrogant little bastard. Takezo's just cocky, man. All right, so let's see here. Takezo takes a big gash too, man. Ignorance. So that's where he's kind of like sizing him up. Like, you're just, you know, you have the arrogance and ignorance of a child. You fight like a beast. You have no. He kind of fights like Wolverine, right? No care for like the consequences of what happens to him. He's kind of also getting a little bit of a lesson right now, which I think is going to end up playing later, if I would think. But he's getting some lessons as he's fighting this guy, maybe of some control and how to like not show weakness through trembling of the sword and things like that. Meanwhile, Musashi sneaking in finds the sake layer and just starts getting drunk as hell drinking sake, willowing in self-pity. So he tells him he can see right through his sword, but that's when we kind of realized, well, after he takes this big slash to the chest, man, he gets cut the hell up. But we realize that both are very injured, so we'll get to that in just a moment. Musashi, drunk as hell now, just kind of trying to gas himself up, trying to basically say he can start over, he can still be a warrior, and he can still be invincible under the sun as well. He can make everything right. So he slashed the hell up across the chest here. But that's when I think it's the students that notice he's got this huge bruise on his shoulder here, which is going to make it difficult for him to be able to attack. Because he's got his arms up the whole time. Still, it goes back to the flashback of him getting whacked, and there it is. His shoulder is bruised heavily. So they're both kind of like, Takezo's like, my feet won't move. Are they glued to the floor? Am I too scared to move? It's just that they're both, you know, badly hurt. And then Musashi causes a fire to start down in the cellar there. And the fire is kind of like what saves everybody, I guess, from that final battle. So we're in the same position. The last chapter, Inferno, smoke is coming up through the school. Now, keep in mind, this school has been around for generations. It's like a pivotal part of the village here, and now it's burning down. Of course, they're still locked in combat here, and their fighting stances. But I guess it ends up getting out of control. The fire takes over, Takezo walking away from the school, and when he's outside, that's when Musashi sees that his friend is still alive. And what's funny is as he runs to go to Takezo, he trips over some guys in the crowd and they start beating his ass. So now he's just thinking, wow, Takezo's still alive? How the hell? As he's getting stomped by the crowd. And that's where we end this volume, guys. All right, guys, there we have it. So another long video going through the first 3 volumes of Vagabond. Now, here's my thing. Like, honestly, the story is a little boring, but for some reason, I'm really into it, man. Like, I read this so fast, devoured it. I'm ready to order the second 3-in-1 and continue the story. Nothing really supernatural going on. It's got your traditional manga, Way of the Warrior, sword fighting stuff. I don't know. Something about it is intriguing, although it feels a little slow right now. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, should I continue this for those of you who have read this? And I believe there is an anime. Is it worth it to keep going? I'm kind of digging it, though, man. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Hope to catch you either tomorrow on Whatnot, back here Friday for the comic book auction and claim sale, or on Sunday over on Whatnot for that t-shirt drop, man. You know I'm serious about my t-shirt game, guys. Hope to see you there. Stay minty fresh. Peace.